What's up, America? Welcome into another episode. What's up, America? Welcome into another episode of Juiced Up, only found right here on Gallery Sports. I'm Rachel Von Orania, and on this show, keep it simple. I talk about sports and what is going on in the world of sports right now. College football championship is set, and I have brought in my good friend Jared Smith. He is the lead betting analyst. Sorry, I can't talk today. The lead betting analyst at PicksWise. He also does a college football radio show at Fox Sports Radio. Jared, thank you so much for coming on today to talk to me about this matchup. I'm not going to lie to you. I was a little shocked to see TCU win their matchup against Michigan, and they're going to be facing my Georgia Bulldogs. Okay, so let's just get right to it. Jared, well, actually, you know what? To talk about the future, we got to look back at the past, right? Sure. TCU, what did they do to get here? How did they do it? And how shocked were you? Were you shocked?
Yeah, I think the result was pretty shocking, but it wasn't as much surprising that TCU played well. I mean, let's be honest, they've kind of defied the odds all season. I saw at some sports books out here in Vegas, they were 1,000 to 1 to win the national championship before the season started. I think the more surprising thing was that Michigan felt like they needed to run trick plays and get away from all of the things that they've done well this year, which is run the ball down people's throats. They went away from that in some key spots. And I think J.J. McCarthy, as good of a season as he's had, he was outplayed by Max Duggan. You know, J.J. throws 2 pick sixes, and I think Max didn't make any big mistakes. And TCU played, I would say, their best game of the year in their biggest spot. So wasn't surprising. I think the more surprising thing is that Michigan wasn't able to do some of the things to match them physicality wise. And TCU is going to be tested physically in this game. I don't think Georgia is going to make the same mistakes that Michigan did on Saturday night when these two teams match up.
I certainly hope not. Let's talk about mistakes. Georgia found themselves in a very, very tight game, much tighter than what I thought. Maybe I was a little bit cocky as a Georgia fan. I think maybe Georgia was a little cocky going into that game. Ohio State, at the end of the day, that's still Ohio State. That's powerhouse. They recruit good players. But for some reason going into this game, we just expected that the Bulldogs were going to run over them. Let's talk about that game for a second. What did you see happen in that game? Were you at all shocked?
I really wasn't. That was one of my better angles of the week was I think it's easy to forget. I mean, so much has happened in college football since Thanksgiving, basically. It's easy to forget how good Ohio State really is. All season long, it was Georgia and Ohio State 1-2. And I think if that game was played in October, let's say the week after Missouri almost beat Georgia, I think that game, the line is probably closer to a pick'em, maybe a field goal. Georgia's certainly not favored by 6.5 points. And Ohio State has dudes everywhere, all over the field, 5 stars at every position. So the depth that you saw with the Buckeyes, and CJ Stroud played a great game. He was throwing it all over the yard, and this isn't last year's Georgia's defense. I think they're a little bit vulnerable in the secondary. So I wasn't as surprised as maybe other people were that Ohio State played well. The surprising part was that Georgia made a few mistakes too. Stetson Bennett threw an interception. They weren't as polished on offense as they usually are. And I think, again, you got to credit Ohio State for really playing as good of a game defensively, stopping the run and doing some things that, kind of threw the Bulldogs off their path a little bit. I think this week it'll be a much easier game, or Monday it'll be a much easier time for them defensively. TCU does not have the same level of depth and level of talent that Ohio State does, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah, like you were telling me last night, like TCU, like there are players that they're going to be facing that they couldn't dream of recruiting, right? With that being said, they're still here. They're here. They're playing in the championship game. That defense is fast. They have a wide receiver that can kind of take you over the top. And, according to some analysts, they think that they have one of the top receivers that, could be drafted, the number 1 overall drafted receiver in this game. So, yeah, TCU's here. I don't want my Bulldogs to overlook them. We can't overlook them anymore. Like, they're here. They did their thing. With that being said, they do Vegas, where you live, they're 12, 13-point dogs in this game. How the heck does TCU pull off an upset against the Bulldogs?
I'll be honest. I just don't see it. I don't think they can. I've been surprised before. I've been wrong plenty of times. We're wrong just as much as we're right in this business. But the matchups and what TCU offers defensively, it's such a different Georgia team. And Rachel, you can offer a ton of perspective here because you're a fan, but this isn't a Georgia team that really is a defensive-minded team. Like, I think this is the identity of this Georgia team is really their offense and Brock Bowers and Stetson Bennett and Monken calling plays and just how aggressive they can be, especially early down. So I think this is going to be a game where Georgia definitely learns something from what happened in the Ohio State game. I think they start really fast, and I don't know if TCU has the horses to keep up.
Well, I sure do hope that you're right. Under any other circumstances, I'd totally be going for a Texas school in a game of this magnitude. But now I'm going for my Dogs, going for them Dogs, and I hope they get it done. And I love that you mentioned the tight end, Bowers. Well, Georgia has a set of really big tight ends that can do some things. But Brock Bowers, what he allows you to do, not just in the passing game, but also in the run game as a blocker, I think is a huge X factor for Georgia. And you're right, their identity is different this year, but they're still getting it done. Jared, thank you so much for coming on. I hope that you out there in Vegas, I hope you win some money. Hope you help me win some money. I will be hitting you up on the text line, getting some more tips from you, and hopefully making more money on that game that I did in the semifinal playoffs because I lost a lot in that. Jared, thank you so much. Guys, that's all the time we have for now. This has been Juiced Up, and it is only found right here on gallerysports.com. That is your one-stop shop for immediate insight and information. I am Rachel Von Orania. That is Jared Lee Smith. I'm Rachel Von Orania, and I'll see you mañana.